All right. Good evening, everybody. Couple of comments before we begin. Number one, I have it set right now that you are not able to unmute yourself. If you send a message in chat, chances are I will not see it. So any questions, really, you can send me directly, and then I'll respond. I want to first tell you what tonight is not about. It's not going to be about koshering. It's not going to be about products. It's not going to be about the amount you have to eat of matzah to say there. That's we could do a different time. We're going to focus specifically on something that I mentioned before some of you came on, that only is going to happen now again in 20 years, which is really the things that come up because of this year being Erev Pesach falling on Shabbat. It changes the schedule, it changes the time you do certain things, and that's what we're going to pretty much talk about tonight. If there are questions, again, I'll ask you to send to me directly on WhatsApp or an email. Again, chance I'm not really going to be looking at the chat tonight. So don't get frustrated if you ask me a question in chat and I don't answer it. And I want to kind of like just jump in with one comment, which is that in addition to talking about that, I will mention 20 seconds of something else, which starts on Sunday. Sunday will be Bezrat Hashem, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And while many people look at that as, yes, it's the day we stop having to say Tachnun for a month, you should be starting the month by saying, yes, it's the month in which we can make yet another special bracha. And this applies both in Israel and outside Israel. It's called Birkat Ilanot. It's a bracha you make on fruit trees, preferably 2 fruit trees at a time, when they start to blossom, which they already are. And you can make it already on Rosh Chodesh. You don't have to wait for later in the month, but it's the entire month is still good to be able to do that. There is one other comment I'm going to make, and I'm not going to expand on it tonight. I'll post about it. I post about it every year, having to do with kitniyot. I had 3 people ask me today already, so I'm just, again, get this out of the way, and we're going to move into the topic of the night. This, what I'm about to say, is based on the ruling of Rabbi Novitzh Zatzal, the Rosh Yeshiva of Birkat Moshe. And he said it for over 40 years, and finally it's getting into the mainstream, and I'll tell you what he said. This is for Ashkenazim who do not eat kitniyot. And I know not all Ashkenazim don't eat kitniyot. If you are Ashkenazi and do not eat kitniyot, if there is something that was made before Pesach that contains kitniyot, and the kitniyot percentage is less than 50% of the product, and you cannot see the kitniyot product inside, lechatchila, meaning with no problem whatsoever, Ashkenazim can eat them on Pesach. For example, yogurts and chocolates and all kinds of other stuff that says lochle kitniyot bilvad, only for kitniyot eaters, is not accurate. It's not true. So again, I just want to say that briefly. I will post about it to clarify for those who want more information. Okay, so let's get down to our topic at hand. I'm going to go by day. We're going to start with Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, and we'll talk about the things that change. Normally on Erev Pesach, there is what's called Tanit B'chorim or Tainis B'chorim, which is the fast of the firstborn. This year, it is pushed back to Thursday morning. Again, is proper to have a siyum, so a bechor, a firstborn male, will take part of the siyum. What is also different this year, though, is that people have a custom that if they have a firstborn son who is under the age of bar mitzvah, that the father goes to the siyum on behalf of the child. It's not necessarily done this year. You can do it; it's perfectly fine, but there's no reason to have to do that. So again, the first fast of the firstborn will be Bezrat Hashem on Thursday. In addition to that, we know that you definitely don't want to wait till the last minute. Whenever you're Rav or you do it online and you sell your chametz, understand that we're going to see that you're going to actually have a little chametz, possibly after you sell the chametz. The way it generally works is that the sale will take place just before Shabbat and will not include any chametz you may consume over Shabbat, and that will be an extremely minimal amount, which we'll talk about very shortly. So first thing, the fast of the firstborn is going to be Thursday morning and not obviously on Shabbat. Second thing for Thursday, again, normally the night before Pesach, you do b'dikat chametz, you search for the chametz. Cannot be done on Shabbat, on Friday night. So this is pushed back to Thursday night as well. And the way it works is as follows. You do the regular b'dika, in other words, make your bracha, you make the regular, you say the bracha, you check for chametz, and you say the kol chamira paragraph at the end after b'dikat chametz. That's perfect. That's the exact same thing as every year, but it's pushed back to Thursday night. It is not done on Friday night. As an aside, is nothing special about this year. Any year a person leaves before Pesach. I could say they live here and they're going to go to their friends in Haifa for Pesach, or they're going to go to Chutz La'aretz. If you leave within 30 days of Pesach, which we are now, of course, you do b'dikat chametz in your home the night before you leave with no bracha. But getting back to our current situation, Thursday night will be b'dikat chametz with a bracha and saying kol chamira afterwards. What about burning the chametz? When is that done? So you burn it the next morning on Friday morning. And even though in theory you can burn it the whole day because it's not Erev Pesach, we still try to conform with the usual finishing burning by a certain time. The times I may use tonight are only Ma'ale Adumim times. They don't apply anywhere else on earth. They may be the same, but I'm not telling you that you have to finish burning your chametz by 11:35 to people who are sitting in the Golan. It may be 11:39, it may be 11:26, I don't know. 11:35. So on Friday morning, you'll burn the chametz at the normal time. And as far as the second kol chamira, the paragraph you say in the morning when you burn the chametz, you don't say it then. You don't say it when it's burning it. You'll be saying it on Shabbat morning. We're going to come to that. So again, Friday morning, you do b'dikat chametz Thursday night. Friday morning, you burn the chametz by 11:35 Malei Adumim time. Nothing to say. There's no kol chamir. You shouldn't say it, actually. There's no kol chamir to be said. Let's talk about Friday. Friday, which is Erev Pesach, there are certain things that have to be done before Shabbat. And that is, you need to definitely do the roasting of the zroa, the shank bone, roasting of the egg, the beitzah, and also preparing the salt water. That should all be done before Shabbat. You cannot do it on Shabbat, obviously. And if you forget, you're going to spend your time doing it after Shabbat. It's going to take time and you're not going to enjoy your Seder. Trust me. So try not to forget. If you happen to forget about the salt water, you have to make small quantities. Motzei Shabbat. You can't make a big bowl of it. Big small quantities. And it's not the point in time now to get into the reasons why. So again, prepare on Erev Shabbat. Already the zroa, prepare the salt water, prepare the beitzah, the egg. If you are using certain kinds of lettuce that needs checking, check it also. It should be checked then. That's done on Friday. You are allowed to eat kitniyot, for those who don't, all day Friday. And you're allowed to eat kitniyot Shabbat morning until the time when you can no longer eat chametz. I'm going to come to that also, but I want to mention it now. So anything I say about chametz applies to kitniyot as well. By the way, that's every year. You can eat kitniyot. You can't eat the kitniyot after the time of chametz being prohibited. The big question that people will deal with again in 20 years is, what do you do about the meals and having lechem mishnah, 2 breads, 2 chalot? So there are 2 possible options. There's really 2 main questions when it comes to Shabbat. Number 1 is, how do you do lechem mishnah? And number 2, how do you do Sudah Shlishit? How do you do 3 meals? So let's talk about the first question, and that is, what do you do about lechem mishnah? So there's 2 options. Option number 1 is you use small rolls, literally challah rolls, as fresh as possible. The reason they say fresh, everyone suggests fresh, is that they're a little older, then they can be crumbly more. So you want to make sure that they are fresh rolls. Don't suggest baking them in your oven. That's kosher to Pesach. And when you do that, you make hamotzi you put down plastic on your table, have paper plate for the challah. You can use a plastic knife. The goal being that everything that you have, hopefully don't leave anything behind. If you have any crumbs, you would flush them down the toilet or roll them up and get rid of them some other way. but you do not want to have that anywhere near your food, because at that point you shouldn't have any chametz food for your table. Trust me, it's not a good idea. I've had people say that they plan to make a little chametz, they have it with their meal. Not a smart idea. By that point, you're already kosher the Pesach. So the only chametz you should be having in this kind of situation, Friday night, is your 2 rolls, enough for everyone, of course, at your table to have some. Should be eaten over plastic and paper plate or plastic plate, or you could do it if, generally speaking, our weather here is beautiful. Just go outside and do it outside. Have in mind that you're eating inside when you do make hamotzi, and Shalom Yisrael. You can even eat your entire meal. I remember I've done that. We've done that. Remember the last time this was, we ate our meal Friday night outside. That's option A. Option B is to use Pesach, kosher Pesach, egg matzah. Normally, most poskim say that unless a person is elderly or a person is, you're talking a small child or a person is sick, they're not allowed to eat egg matzah on Pesach. But in this kind of situation, in this type of year, almost all poskim agree that you can use egg matzah. And the reason you're allowed to in this particular case is the fact that it's problematic to have matzah, which you can. Problematic to have chametz rolls because it could be a problem. And number 3, you are kovea seudah. You're actually establishing your meal based on this, and therefore you're allowed to make hamotzi on it and use the egg matzah for this purpose. And this in this situation that's option B. You can do that both Friday night and Shabbat morning. Again, when you are using chametz aspect of it, you are not allowed to have anything other than those rolls chametz at your table, because you're asking for trouble. Okay, so that's the Friday night, that's the Shabbat morning. We'll come to the Sudah Shlishit question in a second, because before the whole Sudah Shlishit question, you want to make sure that once you have finished with your chametz, whether it's at this meal or at your Sudah Shlishit, which again I'll talk about, you're going to be saying the kol chamira that you did not say on Friday morning. The kol chamira is that paragraph you say normally when you burn the chametz. Obviously, Shabbat morning, you're not burning chametz, but you should say the kol chamira when you have finished your chametz. Now, we haven't talked yet about the second meal, which I'm going to, but what I mean to say is that after you've had the chametz of that second meal, if you're using rolls, then you say kol chamira. If you're finished with chametz and you're not going to have any rolls in the morning, you could say it sometime in the morning. It doesn't make a difference. But as long as you've said it by 11:35 in the morning. All these zmanim are going to be on calendars. You'll find them online. So if you write it down, that's great. If you forget, that's also fine, because you'll find it in lots of places. Let's talk about the Shabbat morning meal. Again, the same issue with using rolls or using egg matzah. Those are the 2 options. They apply Shabbat morning. Again, you have to make sure you keep everything separate that has those the matzah, the lachmaniot, the rolls. Any crumbs left, now you flush down the toilet. You want to eat everything up. Any crumbs, roll a napkin and just dump it into the toilet, and somehow go outside. Maybe put the garbage, the plastic or the paper that was left behind. So those 2 meals are the same 2 options. Question is Sudah Shlishit. We normally eat 3 meals in Shabbat. So there are 2 options of what to do for Sudah Shlishit. Number 1, you make hamotzi. You have bread or the egg matzah. You sit around the table for a couple of minutes. You can have a piece of cake with it or something else. And then you bench. End of first meal. You could have a piece of go-go with it, whatever you're going to eat. It doesn't have to be anything else. Technically, it'd just be the challah or the egg matzah. And then you bench. Then you leave the table. You don't sit at the table. You don't just pretend, we're going to get up and we're going to sit back down. It's a new meal. It doesn't work that way. And that you enter into, if you do that, you put yourself in a position of something called a bracha sheinat tzricha, which is a bracha that was not necessary. It's not a bracha levatala, wasted bracha. But if you make a motzi, sit down, bench, and wash right again, then you've made a bracha sheinat tzricha. So what do? A couple options. Most people go for a walk. Go for a walk, leave your house. Everybody should leave. I don't mean if you have little babies or something, the babies, whatever, but you need to try just to basically leave the table, go outside for a little walk. You can take a safer and sit in another room and learn. It's as if you are finished, like just picture in your head, you finish Shabbat lunch. Now, you don't keep sitting unless you have company, maybe sitting at the table a little longer, but then eventually you go to the couch, you go outside, you go take a nap, you lie down for a few minutes. Something that makes the like siluk hamishkan, shulchan. You just kind of remove the meal aspect from the table. You reconvene, you wash again. Now is Sudah Shlishit. This is still the first option. And you can again have a couple of rolls. You could have egg matzah, or you could just have something light. If a person's careful to wash every week, then there's no reason they can't do the same issue of either egg matzah or challah rolls. That's the one option. The other option is you just have your regular meal in the morning. You finish, you bench, and later in the afternoon, you have some light food. You have some fish, you can have something else, keeping in mind it's not only Shabbat, but it's also Erev Chag. First Mishnah Pesachim tells us, of course, you want to enter Pesach with a hunger. You want to be hungry because you want to be able to eat the matzah and you want to be able to eat tafikoman and the korech and all these other things that come with the seder. So option A in the morning for 2 meals, split the meal in half, go outside between the 2 times you're washing. Option B, just wash and just have your meal and make sure you're done with chametz by 10:05, not 11:35. 10:05 in Malei Adumim is the last time you can eat chametz. All shuls will have early minyan that day. There won't be an early minyan, a mid minyan. All shuls have an early minyan until you'll be home early enough to be able to do any of these options. Bezrat Hashem. So again, first option for the Sudah Shlishit is split the meal. Second, and go away from the table for a while. It can be 10, 15 minutes. That's fine. Or you just have one meal and then later in the afternoon, have something light, having in mind that that's your Sudah Shlishit. Fish, fruit. Chances are you're going to nosh in something anyways. So it's your choice. Not just now, not just in this situation, but every single situation where Shabbat and Chag butt up against each other, when it's Shabbat and then it's going to be Chag, you cannot do any preparation on Shabbat whatsoever for Motzei Shabbat, i.e. Pesach. You cannot set your table. You cannot start putting all the silverware and everything, getting it ready. You can't. The only thing you're allowed to do, and this surprises some people, is if you have food in the freezer, you're actually allowed to take it out on Shabbat. This is not just for Pesach. For any Shabbat going into Chag, you can take the food out of the freezer and let it start to defrost. That's permissible. Everything else, there's no other preparations that you can do on Erev Shabbat and on Shabbat before Pesach. If you want to be all prepared for your Seder and table already set, no problem, have it set and do your meal outside. I'm pointing to my outside. You do your meal outside. And thank God most of us are in a situation where we are able to do it on a mirpeset. You can do it in your backyard, wherever it might be, front of your building even. Trust me, you're in a park. People do that too. I've seen that in the past. Now, what happens is Motzei Shabbat, going into Pesach, you may want to start right away to do your preparations. So if you daven Mariv, you say in the Havdalah in the Mariv that's built in. And if you don't, then just saying, but like on a regular Motzei Shabbat, say Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, which enables you to do melacha. You are going to also, for women or men who like candles, you'll be lighting candles based on the time on the calendar, which for us I have written down, I believe, is 7:43. You can't put food on the plata for Motzei Shabbat, for the Seder on Shabbat. Again, nothing on Shabbat. You're not allowed to prepare on Shabbat for after Shabbat. And the Havdalah, because remember, you're going from a Kedusha of Shabbat, Kedusha of Yom Tov. So that direction, like we are going this year, there's Havdalah. You're going from Kodesh LeKodesh, from a higher level Kedusha to a lower level Kedusha. You don't make a regular Havdalah. You do it, it's in every Haggadah, and you don't have to have the candles put together for the Havdalah. You just make it on the candles that are in the room or which if there are no candles for whatever reason, the lights, there's no besamim. And again, the Havdalah is found as part of Kiddush in the Haggadah, and that's pretty much it. So now let's kind of just recap. We have Thursday morning time, the fast of the firstborn. Thursday night, you do the B'dikat Chametz with a regular bracha, the regular Kol Chamira. Friday morning, you burn your Chametz, do not say Kol Chamira. Then on Friday, all the preparations you need to do for the Seder, you do them on Friday, like the roasting the bone and the shank bone and the beitzah, the preparation of salt water, checking bugs for bugs in your lettuce and vegetables if you need to. All that should be done on Friday. Friday night, you have the options, again, the two possible options for Lechem Mishnah, either little challah rolls, fresh as if they can be, and on plastic, and being able to get rid of the crumbs as fast as possible, even though you're not yet prohibited from having them around. Don't take a chance. Or using egg matzah. Shabbat morning, you do the first meal can either be split into two, or one in the morning, one you can have without bread, lechem in the afternoon. Before 10:05, Malei Adumim time, finish any chametz. You can eat after that, just no chametz. Say kol chamira, the one you normally say Erev Pesach. You say it again. It's Erev Pesach, Shabbat morning before 10:05. Or before 11:30. Just a minute. What was the time for saying kol chamira? 1 second. Let me double check. By 11:35. It didn't make sense to say by 10:05. By 11:35. Shabbat afternoon, you should, even in normal year, Erev Pesach, you shouldn't eat too much on a Friday afternoon, or Erev Pesach. The night of the Seder is the night of the Seder, and you include Havdalah in the Haggadah. If you're going to do some things right after Shabbat is over, before you even light candles, and before you, especially before you light candles, you have to say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh, not L'chol, sorry. HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh, and then you can move on. Okay, so these are the basic understanding, your basic actions that you need to take before Pesach. Have this in mind. If something is not clear, you're not sure, please feel free to send me a message. Generally, best to message me instead of calling, especially this time of year. When it comes to other questions about koshering and it comes to products and all, yes, you can feel free to call me, but there are tremendous amounts of resources online. I posted on Facebook, and I'll send out in my class group links to various booklets of different kashrus organizations here and abroad that make it very simple. They have, like, for example, if you want to know about koshering your counter, are you allowed to or not? It talks about tfilat kelim, whether something needs to be told. It talks about your koshering your stove top. It talks about koshering your oven. So there's a lot of information out there. You can call me. That's fine. Message me. But it's best always to try looking up the answer. There's always Rabbi ChatGPT. And we have this week, like I say, this week coming up, Sunday is Rosh Chodesh, so it's a couple of weeks to go. 2 weeks from Friday, from Motzei Shabbat is the Seder. So there's plenty of time here and don't panic. People tend to believe and think that when Hashem gave the Torah to Moshe on Har Sinai, he put in bold letters that dust is chametz. Not true. And you don't drive yourself crazy in finding every tiny speck, because technically, if it's not a yahrzeit, I'm just going to make a little sign like this. It's whatever it might be. It is no isur. If you happen to find it during Pesach, you got to get rid of it or burn it. But don't make yourselves crazy and come into Pesach wiped out. It's not worth it. It's one night a year that we have a magnificent opportunity to do so many mitzvot and make it meaningful. Don't come to the Seder exhausted. Okay, so that's my story. I thank you all for being here tonight. Let me just pull it onto the second screen here. Beautiful. Got a lot of people here tonight. Very, very nice. Baruch Hashem. So hopefully, my pleasure. And thank you all for tonight. And we'll be in touch, Bezrat Hashem. And Wednesday nights, I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom. It's never too early. All right. Be well. Thank you very much. Laila Tov.